Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today we are going to be doing an easy fun fold card, and you know I love those. This is actually going to be the folded frame card. Now this one is super simple. No special dies, no tricky measurements, nothing like that, just starting off with a square, and that's all we need. I am going to get mine using some patterned paper. This is the Mintay Paper's Peony Garden 6x8 paper pad, and this one is gorgeous. I have been using this quite a bit recently. It's not a new one out, but it is gorgeous, and there are lots of different ones that I could use out of this, honestly, and lots of them will do it, but also they do have those pages in there of the roses and all those focal points that you can use there, so we will be using those. There are 24 pages of double-sided sheets in here, and these are a 250 GSM, so these are like quite a good weight, I would say, and I am just going to pick one out that we can use for today. Now honestly, you can use anything. You can use plain paper too and put it on a busy background if you would like. Now just because, you know, for the sake of being easy, I'm going to make this a 4x4 inch square. Now, I will say that if you have a specific size in mind that you want to end up with and you're not sure which size square to start with, then use some copy paper, use some scrap paper to try it out, quickly fold it, see which size you need, and you'll soon get the perfect size. Now, all you need to do, I have my square ready to go, is you need to find the center. The easiest way for me, I just do a little, corner to corner situation, find the center, and I'm just doing this in a light pencil because I am going to rub this out. I've made it dark enough so hopefully you can see that little center point there, and then all you do is fold all of your points into that very center mark. Now, honestly, the better that you fold these, the more, the nicer it's going to look. But does it have to be perfect? No. You'll see in the second card that I create that they aren't perfect, and I still think the card looks great. So if you are not one of those precise card makers, then this is still going to be great for you. You don't have to be perfect, but, get it as good as you can, as we all do. So I have folded all of my corners in. You could also use you could score these if you wanted to get them really nice, but I'm just folding. Still, it's going to be perfectly fine. And then with those beautiful corners that we have folded, what I tend to do to get them nice and sharp is this is when I run over them with a bone folder, just to flatten everything out, just to sort of, get it as good as I can. Press down those folds just because they didn't have a score line originally. Just press them all down and get it as neat as you possibly can. This is going to make sure that the cardstock sits relatively flat too. And then the next step, which again is about as easy as the first one, you're just going to take the points that you originally folded in and you're just going to fold them back on themselves. And all you need to do is fold it back to the edge of your new size square right here, and I just fold it up like this and crease it down. Again, I don't do any scoring or anything like that, and this always works out perfectly fine. Now this one here had a little piece that was a bit fluffy. My trimmer might need to change my blade, but you just fold it back and you can see that this is going to start creating a frame. Now I'm going to show you two different versions of this today. Well, they're sort of the same, but just two options that you can do with this, and you can choose which one is your preference. But for this one, I also wanted to move away and see if I could challenge myself not to use a flower or a butterfly in the center of this one. Now what I like to do here is I just open up two of these, and that gives me a really easy way that I can sort of get in and really crease these folds beautifully. You can see that pencil mark in the center there, and I also want to make sure that I erase that just because at this point this is going to be what is seen, so I don't want it there. Now, if you have created one of these cards before, I would love to see your version, and you can post it over on our Facebook group, Come Crafting with Natasha. We would love to see your creations over there, and even if this has inspired you to change it up a bit, and maybe you've got a different version of this to show as well, so we would love to see that. Now, once I have got all of these, little creases as good as I pretty much want them to be, that is the frame done and dusted. And you know me, less supplies is always helpful. And so for the background, I'm just going to use a pattern from here too. And I want something a little bit subtle. Now, I do love that on the back of these Mintay papers, this is one of the companies that uses their covers and makes good use of them. So this is actually the back cover of the paper pad, but it has a beautiful, subtle printed pattern on the back, so I'm going to make good use of it. We appreciate the companies who, make the most of the real estate that they have and make the most of putting those extra little things in for us, so thank you. I am going to cut this panel down just so it's a little bit smaller than my card base, and then we are going to look for our focal point. Now, I said I didn't want to go for flowers today. Well, these little gumboots, that's what we call them, wellies or gumboots, are going to be my focal point. And I just thought this was something a little bit fun, a little bit different. And the great thing about these paper pads is there is actually 3 pages of each design in this book. So that means we can do some fun stuff with creating some dimension. So I'm going to cut out 2 of these little gumboots, and we are going to fussy cut these out again. You know me, I am a little bit careful with the images that I choose to fussy cut. These ones are nice and easy because they just have nice straight edges. There's not too much, that can go wrong at this point. And so one of these pairs of gumboots I'm going to cut out completely, so both of the gumboots, and I'm just going to cut right in next to the line. If you feel more comfortable, then by all means you can definitely leave a little white border, but I think especially for this technique, definitely going up to the line is going to work pretty well. And then for the second ones that I am going to fussy cut out, I'm actually going to fussy cut out only one of the gumboots, and I'm only going to fussy cut out the one that is in front of the other, so to speak. And so I know that feels a little bit wasteful of the image, but I think this is just that extra little bit. I like those extra little details where you can see a little bit of dimension and it brings the gumboots a little bit more to life. And then very simply, once I have fussy cut those out, all I'm going to do is take a little bit of foam tape that's going to go behind here. Now, at this point, I have the 1mm scrapbook.com foam tape, and I love this tape. They also sell 2mm and 3mm, I think. But if you are wanting 2mm, then I just buy the 1 and I double it up, to make 2. And that saves me having to have 2 different roll sizes hanging around as well. It also comes in 2 different widths. It comes in the 1/4 inch and it comes in a 1 inch as well. So pretty handy to have around. And then I am going to double those up and you can see a gorgeous little bit of dimension on my focal point ready to go. Now I did feel like it just needed to be, the background was still a little too bright and the gumboots definitely fell into the background with the pink. And so I am going to cut out a little square of vellum. Now with vellum, if you want it to be a little more opaque, I would pop it up on some foam tape just so that it is up off the background. But if you just want that tiny little bit extra, but still see-through, still translucent, then I just put it straight onto it. So this is just double-sided adhesive, and I'm just going to pop it in the corners because this is going to be almost completely hidden by the frame. You're not going to be able to see it. And so a little piece of double-sided adhesive in each of the corners is going to do the trick here. Take off the release paper, open up the frame, and I'm going to put this straight in the middle just to give me that tiny little extra bit of help there. And although that doesn't make too much difference, sometimes it's the little details that count. So once we come to putting this all together, I am going to take my corner rounder and just go around each of these just to soften the look a little bit. I think the light colours, the sort of beautiful pale pinks and things, lend itself to a more delicate version here, so that's why I'm just going to round the corners and go with that. I add some matte medium on the back here so I can wiggle this into place on my card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And then I have my background ready to go, and all you need to do here is glue down your frame, and I'm just going to use the same glue. Now the one thing I really love about this is that even though this frame is quite dimensional, it's going to flatten perfectly to go in an envelope. Now bear in mind that I did use 1mm of dimension for my gumboots, which is a little bit but not very much at all, and so that is going to make it really easy to flatten everything down to fit in an envelope. Now this is the Simple Vintage Essentials by Simple Stories. I showed this one in another video where I used these gorgeous little typewriter keys here, and this is a really fun little book, but I'm actually going to use a different one for this one. There are lots in here that I feel like I could have used, but just to be something a little bit different than the usual sentiments, I'm going to put Be Fabulous on this one, because I think with these gorgeous little pink gumboots, these pink wellies, I think this is just a nice sentiment to have. And I'm trying to branch out and be a little different with some of the sentiments that I choose to use. So I like this one. It fits on the background beautifully. I'm going to glue down my frame, and that's going to sit nicely in place. Then get my little gumboots, which are going to go in the center there. And again, I've already got the dimensions, so just a little bit of glue, and that is going to be card number 1 finished. And then you can sort of adjust those little frame pieces to be as open or as closed as you would like. And I love card number 1. This was super fun. Now I'm going to zoom through card number 2 pretty quickly because essentially it's the same thing. But I did want to say, this is the type of card that you can bulk make for Christmas cards. Now, this is the Christmas Time by Echo Park, and this sort of piece right here is exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to this. I often make some of my Christmas cards throughout the year when I find a good technique that is going to create a really cute looking card, and it's super simple, and I have everything ready to go. I may as well make some because otherwise, it gets to that time of year, and before you know it, everything starts kicking in. If you have children, you know that there are 1,000 activities at the end of the year that have wrap-up parties. There are work that has wrap-up parties. Everything gets crazy and it gets around me. So if I can make something throughout the year, then this often helps me out, and I'm often grateful that I took the time. Now, these little squares, of course, I would just take my trimmer. I would trim all of these, and this would make 9 different ones. I have taken another piece from the same paper pad, found the center of it. Again, I just cut a 4x4 inch square. That seems to work really well for the card front that I like to create. Fold them all into the center. This is the one where actually I don't end up having them perfect, and it still looks okay to me. Now, the only difference that I am going to do this one is that I'm actually going to glue down some of this frame just to keep it in place a little bit more. And with the first one, I didn't do that. That means that it sort of pops up a little bit more when you take it out of the envelope, and of course it's going to flatten beautifully for an envelope as well. But once I have flattened all of these creases down, I've given them a nice wee run over with the bone folder, then I'm going to adhere down the Santa in the center and that beautiful pop of red that's going to go right in the middle in this case. And because I'm gluing down the frame, I don't have to worry about the edges of the Santa, because all we're going to see is, this part that we can see now. So it's going to fit really easily. This is just super, super simple. Nothing to really stamp or go crazy, but you could create your own images to go in the center here, remember? You don't have to have an image that's already been created, but just paper pads, make that really easy. I have going to glue down the little frame here. Once I've got Santa in place, I just add some glue onto the first 4 folds. Now, I'm not going to glue down the second ones because I quite like that little bit of dimension, but I'm going to glue down the first ones. And again, that's also going to hide the fact that Santa is smaller than the 4x4 that we have. The folds are not perfect. That doesn't bother me at all. We've still got a gorgeous Santa, and actually I purchased some of the some of the Santa, the Christmas bits and pieces throughout the year, just because it also means that I can get the things that I want to get, and it means I don't have to, if something I've wanted and it happens to be sold out, having to wait a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks for something to come in stock at that time of year can often make a bit of a difference. So I tend to, purchase what I want throughout the year and then use it as well, and that just helps me out that little bit. Now, I have got my card base here. I then have a matting layer of bright red. Then I have some of those beautiful stripes. And then I had already put this down once, but I changed my mind. And then I'm going to put down my little Santa that we created. And I just get some of the die cut cardstock pieces as well, and that's where this greeting is from. I buy one small 6x6 paper pad and then one of the titles and phrases here. And this just helps me make Christmas cards super, super fast. It also means if my children want to make Christmas cards for their classmates and things, that it's really easy for them to go about creating some of these. So I am going to put a little bit of foam tape on the back of this gorgeous little sentiment, pop this on, and we have 2 cards completed pretty jolly quickly. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video today. I hope that you give the frame fun fold a go here. This is a fun card to make. Super super, super simple. No dyes involved or anything like that, which makes life just a whole lot easier. Let me know in the comment section down below if you work on Christmas cards throughout the year too, or whether you just do them all at the end. And that's okay, no matter which way you do it. It's what works for you is what matters. But other than that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community and watching this video. I appreciate it. You're welcome to subscribe. On my channel, I have over 1,000 videos. So come and join me for some more, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.